Yo, what's up, manga fans? This is Rafael from C Manga, and I'm here to give you a review of this week's chapter of Bleach 564 Red Bristle Kings. And straight away, I have to say, I love this chapter. Kubo finally delivered and showed Renji being a badass, and he got his new power up, his new Bankai, and we learn some interesting things like Ichibei's, origin and what his particular title or his speciality is. And we also learn an interesting thing about Zabimaru. Renji's Zanpakuto didn't particularly tell him the truth about his name, and he wasn't fully honest with him. But one of the main things we said at the beginning of this chapter, it's not really interesting now anyway, but we kind of learn why James kept coming back. He was burning up at the beginning, but Mask is like, oh, as long as I'm alive, my fans will always be able to revive. So it's basically saying as long as Mask live, James can regenerate, apparently. But the next part obviously is the interesting part. We see that Renji in his training with Ichibei during the Royal Palace part of the arc, and he's basically learns from Ichibei that Zabimaru isn't actually the real name for his Bankai, or it's kind of like the half name for it, which basically means that Zabimaru only partly acknowledges Renji, which obviously mind boggles him. They fought together all this time, during the Soul Society arc. He's appeared to him during his training and everything for Bankai, and he's basically only given him half of his name. But Ichibei is saying now that you're fully powerful enough for it, you can you'll basically be able to learn it, and I'll be able to teach you. And Renji's like, how can you teach me? And he basically says that the Soul King gave him the name Manako Oshu, which basically means the one who calls the real name. So Ichibei is basically the guy who can name anything. He knows the name for everything to do with Soul Society and everything with him in Shinigami, Zanpakutos, everything. He said he's the one who gave the name for Zanpakutos, Shikai, Bankai, everything in Soul Society he named, and he knows the name of every single Zanpakuto from the time they're created as the Tsuchis and given over to Shinigami. He knows the name. So he's basically saying to Renji, I'll give you the name now. And we go back into the present, and Renji calls its real name, which is Souou or Souou Zabimaru, and there's like it's actually quite a good design. At first I was a bit meh, but when I looked at it again, it's kind of like got that whole knight or warrior kind of armor kind of thing going on. It's like his snake head is on his arm, so there's a sword coming out of it. He's got shoulder plated armor covering his shoulders and around his neck, kind of similar to that thing Ichigo had, and he's got a cloak, and the whole snake's like tail or body is wrapped around his torso, kind of like a belt or something similar to that. So yeah, the Bankai looks quite good. And Mask is peed off that Renji was able to block his special attack, so he attacks him, and Renji calls out Hihu again, the original Bankai name he kept calling, and the cloak turns into a hand. It's a massive hand. It grabs Mask and crushes him, and he's in so much pain, you can tell, and he dashes him to a building, and it's apparently broken his arm. And then he tries to attack again, but Renji goes and he says Orochiu, and the blade changes form, and it's kind of like a serrated blade now, and the snake tail is unwrapped from his body. So he stabbed Mask with that and gripped his hand, and then we see like a giant's Ryatsu snake head open up with all the jaws showing and everything. Then he says Souou Zabimaru, and then he says Zanga Tepu, and then it closes, and it's just like a massive explosion. And after the basically dust and everything settles, we see Mask is completely burnt and charred to a crisp. He is burnt so badly that his torso has pretty much been blown away. I think we could see a bit of his spine, but I was like, wow, that is a bit of an overkill, but it did the job, and I don't think he's coming back from that. So we see a little sneaky or kind of cheeky line coming from Renji at the end. It's like, finally burnt out, you should be happy, superstar. And yeah, so that was Renji's chapter for you. He's Bankai, the revealed his new Bankai in all its glory, and the results of his training in the royal palace with Ichibei. I was amazed, I was pleased, and I think Renji definitely deserved this. This guy usually gets his ass handed to in the past, and now finally he's beating someone who's managed to beat even Visors, which I think was a bit silly, but you know, it was clearly one of those setup things. Basically, Renji gets his rematch. We have to see Mars beat up a few powerful captains and Visor captains as well, and basically Renji's come along and slapped this guy about and suffered no damage from it. So this is to show us the results of training in the royal palace. And obviously this makes me wonder how strong is Rukia, Byakuya, and obviously finally Ichigo gonna be, because this power up is amazing, and it was really a enjoyable chapter. Definitely enjoyed it. Artwork was great, and seeing the things like, you know, Ichibei's origin, what he means, the one who names everything, that's quite a, you know, important role. He named every single thing in Soul Society, so that's great. And yeah, finding out Renji's true name for his Bankai wasn't particularly what we thought it was before. We've all heard him say he who Zabimaru, and now it's really he who is basically part of like one of the commands. So Renji kind of has a similar Bankai to yeah, Yamato, you know, like had he had the northeast southwest kind of Bankai kind of thing, and this is a similar thing. Every time Renji calls out a name for his Bankai, it changes form. It's quite amazing. So yeah, definitely pleased with this chapter, and glad to see this new Bankai revealed. So yeah, nothing else to say. Just can't wait to see Rukia in action. Hopefully we'll see her next. We saw her color page at the beginning of this chapter, because you know it was her birthday yesterday, so hopefully Kubo's going to allow her to have a fight soon, and hopefully it's going to be as good as Renji, if not better. So yeah, looking forward to that. Same predictions as I said before, I'm not going to say them again. You know, if you want to check out what I said before about who she'll fight, you could check it out next in my last review. So anyway, that's all I could say about this chapter. I loved it, loved the reveals of Ichibei's origin and things like that, and obviously Renji's Bankai. So if you guys got any thoughts or opinions about this chapter, leave it in the comment box below. Any predictions for the next one, you know, leave it there. Also leave us a like, because it helps us in the channel out, and we appreciate it. And also subscribe for more any content if you're new to the channel, which you can check out on the top right. And also, as I said earlier, check out my last Bleach review for 563. So yeah guys, that's the chapter review today, and I'll speak to you guys next time.